So you're a Christian who loves lifting weights, but you find yourself wondering, is it godly or biblical for me to train for aesthetics? My physique, how my body looks. Well, I'm a pastor and a coach, and in this video, we're going to be looking at the pros and cons of bodybuilding and how you can find a way to train that matches both your faith and your fitness goals. Welcome, guys. So strength and fitness training falls into a lot of categories, out of which probably the most popular one is bodybuilding. Now, when I say bodybuilding, I do not mean the sport of bodybuilding where you are gearing up for a competition and you step on stage and you have judges and you win trophies and etc. No, I'm talking about the recreational bodybuilding, which is a style of training where the main focus of your training is to develop your physique, your appearance, losing body fat, gaining muscle, etc. So like I mentioned, I'm a pastor and a coach, and I've had a long 15-year journey in this area where I've really wrestled internally and externally with my motives and how my faith could match my training preferences. So let's discuss the pros and the cons of bodybuilding. So I actually want to start with the cons this time because that's how it started for me in this area. So what happened is when I got saved, I lived a really pure life. I didn't have any lust issues or that kind of deal, and I was just excited about God. But in that first year of getting saved, I also started training, and I pretty much got into bodybuilding straight away. That's just the programs that I got on literally bodybuilding.com. And it wasn't all bad. The training was actually really fun. It was Mike O'Hearn's Power Bodybuilding program was the first one that I did. But what happened for me is because of the marketing of the bodybuilding industry, which is full of great-looking women in little amounts of clothing, I actually experienced a regression in my purity, and I ended up developing a lust problem that led to a masturbation and a porn problem because of the heightened awareness of my own body and the bodies of the people around me and all of this marketing that I was coming face to face with. It simply didn't do good for me. And I think you would agree if you're a Christian that anything, no matter how cool it is, that causes you to sin, according to Jesus, is that right hand you should be cutting off, and that it's simply not worth it. So what I did personally is I actually made a transition to training more for performance. I started doing a sort of DIY version of CrossFit at the time, where I was very much just looking at getting as physically fit as possible. Endurance, mobility, power, strength, the whole thing. So that's one possible downside of bodybuilding, is simply the heightened self-awareness and self-consciousness that can lead to lust or comparison or pride. Because I've also experienced this, that I walk into a room and I see a bunch of men who are kind of just lazy looking, and I'm the only fit person there, and I compare myself to them and I feel proud about myself. Not in a godly sense, but in a very carnal sense. And maybe that's happened to you, maybe it hasn't. If it hasn't, then God bless you. But it happened to me. So if training for aesthetics causes you to lose sight of Philippians 2 verse 3, which is count others as more important, more significant, as better than yourselves, and do not only look to your own interests, but also look to the interests of others, if you cannot do that and train for aesthetics, then don't train for aesthetics. Because I promise you, in the end, when you're taking your last breath, you'll be proud that you live the life of humility and service and love to the people around you, instead of, I had a great physique when I was 25. So again, chasing aesthetics, it can lead to lust, it can lead to pride, it can lead to a heightened self-awareness and self-centeredness. And that can be a real problem. But maybe that's not you. Maybe you train for aesthetics and you feel great in your soul and in your relationship with God. If that's you, I bless you. Just keep doing what you're doing, because there are also some real upsides and pros to training for aesthetics. One of them is that it's super convenient. You can literally be in and out of the gym in less than 30 minutes and get a fantastic bodybuilding workout done. Unlike endurance training, which is a low heart rate times how many minutes you spend, or strength training, where you need a lot more rest time in between your sets. In bodybuilding, you can be in and out of the gym and just pick 3 movements and just do a rotation of those for 25 minutes, and you will get an insane pump, and it'll be very beneficial from a bodybuilding perspective. Bodybuilding, I also argue, is really fun, because in that kind of training, you can see the results every single day. You're reminded of it. And getting a great pump and doing these slightly longer sets of 10 to 20 reps, it simply feels nice. It certainly feels nicer than grinding out, your 3 rep max on a back squat. Plus, of course, when you train for aesthetics, that means you're going to have a lower body fat to lean mass ratio, which is just going to generally be great for your health. There's been a bunch of studies in the past 10, 20 years about the real health and longevity benefits of increased skeletal muscle mass. Because as we age, we lose muscle mass. But if you can retain that muscle mass and with it, the strength as you get older, it's going to really, really benefit you from a practical standpoint. And finally, I'll mention that aesthetics are not all bad, because while God looks at the heart, the truth is that man looks at the flesh, and there really is benefit to just looking like a person who's just generally fit and leads themselves and just lives well and with discipline and powerfully. Like when you go in a meeting and you look confident and you look powerful, you are perceived that way. And it can really open doors for you because, again, God is looking at the heart, but man is looking at the outside. And that's just the fact. So I don't shy away from the fact that, okay, I've got a pretty nice physique, but I don't need to flaunt it either. Like, how many people in my life really need to see me shirtless, right? I can count those with one finger. So to bring this all together, I would just say that let's not be like the Pharisees that Jesus constantly dealt with, who had the appearance of godliness without the real thing. So I think that if you train for performance, you end up getting so much of the benefits of bodybuilding. If you are able to bench press your body weight for 10 reps, you will have a pretty impressive chest. I will tell you that. If you're able to do 15 dead hang pull-ups, your arms are going to look very impressive. That's just the truth. If you're able to run long distances at a low heart rate, you have a relatively low body fat to lean mass ratio. However, if that type of training is simply too time-consuming for you, then yeah, bodybuilding might really serve you well. But it really, really matters that we are honest with ourselves and our motives and make sure that our training is not eating at the rest of our life and that we are not getting fit at the expense of our soul. So my advice to you would be stay humble, but yes, stay hungry. You can pursue gains in the gym, but even more than that, pursue Jesus, pursue the likeness of Christ being formed in your life above everything else. Because again, what will it profit you to gain the best physique, but lose your soul? You can't take it with you anyway, so it'll be a zero in the end. What really matters is what you do with that physique and how it's going to impact your actual life for the glory of God and for the joy of the people around you. And hey, I go into a lot more detail on this topic in my new book, The Easy Eating Blueprint. You can find it as a PDF on my website and on Amazon. I'll drop the link in the description. Bless you guys. That's it for this video. Happy training, happy gaining, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.